I learned a new thing in therapy, and so you guys also get to learn a thing that I learned in therapy. It's called the bullshit bucket. It's this idea that you can hold so much. See my hands. You can hold that much or whatever, however big your bucket is. Everybody's bucket's different. But once you get to a certain threshold, you can no longer hold things in your bucket and it overflows. Your bucket is basically full of everything that makes you go, this is bullshit. It can be everyday things, making dinner every day. I keep bringing it up, and I think that is a good indication of how much I hate making dinner every day, or thinking about it, or feeding people. It can be systemic things. It can be cultural. It can be the things, the reasons you need therapy. They go in the bucket. So there's a ton of different stuff that goes into the bucket. And I'm explaining this to you because I am going to tell you why I tried to take Christmas away from my daughter, which is not logical. That is not a thing I do. That is not how I parent. But my bucket overfloweth at the moment, and I don't think I'm alone in that particular thing. So Aubrey has not cleaned her bedroom since, I think it's like March, but 2020 is kind of up in the air, so I'm not 100% sure. I know for sure that in August, she wasn't allowed to spend any of her birthday money on computer gaming stuff because her bedroom wasn't clean. So this has been a long-term thing, and I think last Wednesday, I lost it. I was like, that's it. If you can't take care of your things, you're not getting new things. Why would you get new stuff if you can't even take care of the old stuff? And so I was like, if you don't clean your bedroom, you've got two options. I take Christmas away, or I'm going to go in with black bags and just throw anything away I feel like, which is absolutely traumatizing to her. Like, the idea of that is probably traumatizing. So that's like the last option. I think she'd rather have Christmas taken away than me go in and just throw things away indiscriminately, because everything that she touches is a masterpiece. It's infuriating. So, we basically had this sort of meltdown. I had this meltdown, and my poor kid is just like, what is mom doing? She's gone crazy. And so I had therapy after that, and then that's when my therapist and I discussed the bullshit bucket. And it makes a lot of sense that, like, you can only deal with so much until it's too much, and then, like, one little more thing, just one drop goes into the bucket, and then your bucket's like, we're done. I can't do this anymore. So the next day, Aubrey and I were going to her grandma's house. I dropped her off for school, and I was like, dude, I am really sorry about yesterday. Like, that was not my finest moment by any stretch. I hope you know, obviously, that's not something I would ever do, and I was just really upset, blah, 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 blah. And she said to me, yeah, Mom, that was pretty sucky parenting. And I was just like, oh, God, why do you have to say it out loud? Like, I know it was really sucky parenting. And, it's great that she can recognize that. Again, as a 10-year-old, she's like, yeah, you blew it. You were not being loving and supporting. So, try again next time. So I was pretty happy about that part where she felt comfortable to say that I blew it and could recognize it as a child. But also it still made me feel pretty terrible. But then we got the idea that if my bucket's going to overflow something tiny like that, actually this was her idea, like maybe we should work on emptying the bullshit bucket. And so, obviously that's, I think, what grown-ups do. Does anybody know? I don't know. But so since then, we have spent basically an hour a day doing things to empty the bucket, because the bucket has things in it that cannot be changed. It can't be dealt with. You can't do anything about it. Or, I mean, you can, but not like, it's not like picking up the living room. It's kind of an easy fix. You know, there's like things in the bucket that you really can't do anything with. The COVID stuff, I can't do anything about that. It is something that is out of my control, and it just sits in the bucket. And, you know, I think that things are like sort of like they get bigger even. Like the COVID stuff, sometimes it really bothers me, and sometimes it doesn't bother me as much, but it's always in there. But sometimes I think it takes up a little more room than other times, and I'm guessing that that's when I'm a little more likely to try to take away Christmas from my daughter. I don't know. So, you know, we started doing this, you know, like work on your bullshit buckets, empty it out a little bit. You'll feel better. And what I learned is that that isn't exactly what happened. And I was pretty upset by that, actually, because I really had set my hopes on feeling better. And I actually got homework from my therapist, which was to paint this part of the ceiling that we've just been putting it off because, you know, lazy, whatever. But I really wanted the ceiling painted before we could get the Christmas tree up, because if we didn't, then we absolutely would be waiting until whenever we took that down, which again, lazy. We had a tree up until April one year, and we named him Tree and put Easter decorations on it. Were those people? I don't know. There's no excuses, but you know, I'm thinking in us terms of if we put the tree up, there's no guarantee that we'll ever get the ceiling painted. So I actually got the homework to paint the ceiling, get the tree, get it up, empty out the bucket. And we did all that, but I didn't really feel any better about it. And that's kind of one of the hard parts about doing all this sort of introspective looking, is that sometimes I'm really disappointed by the results. You know, you expect if you work hard that things are going to feel better, and that just isn't quite what happened. Because even though my bucket is definitely full, a lot, I also have, I think, a lot of things that I hadn't been considering that are in the bucket that I can't do anything about. One of the big things, I think, is just the holidays coming up. I struggle with them, and I think for many, many years I've been basically stressing out until Christmas and being really irritable, kind of, and like I don't have enough time, and just sort of upset at everything. And I've always been able to like feed that into something, which is usually getting ready for this big party that we have every year, where I have to clean the house a bunch and pretend like we don't live like homeless slobs most of the time. So it's a place to channel all of this sort of like negativity that happens. I called it a brick yesterday to my therapist, because it feels just like this thing that just sits inside of me. So I think I realized yesterday that I have been doing that for a long time, just channeling hard emotions into something that would pass. So, you know, we clean the house, have the party, clean the house again, have Christmas. It's over. The hard feelings are gone. Oh, I must have worked hard enough, but I think I just have been shoving them places so that they didn't have to be dealt with. And this year I don't have sort of that luxury, which is weird to say, but I don't have anything tangible to freak out about. The house not being clean enough. I do have to wrap a lot of presents, which I'm not super into, but I don't feel like that's meltdown worthy. I mean, it's not that many. So that's what I'm kind of coming to terms with, and like sort of trying to grasp right now, is that I think that there's some stuff in my bullshit bucket that I've just never even tried to look at before because it was too hard. And the thing about this like healing journey, whatever, is it gets easier in ways because you start recognizing things and noticing stuff that you wouldn't have before. But it's also harder in ways because you keep noticing stuff. Like, it keeps happening. You keep feeling things. there's no happy ending, I think. I don't think that's really how it goes. You just keep growing and doing the same things, and it's hard. But so I think part of emptying my bullshit bucket is going to be actually sitting at some point and like analyzing why I feel the things that I do at the holidays. I'm sure it has a lot to do with my family, and growing up. Obviously, that's part of everybody. The changes that happen as you enter adulthood are pretty hard, I think. Another thing that I thought about, actually, Jinx Monsoon and Ben de la Creme did a holiday special, which was really, really good. Ask Sarah, especially if she's drinking, she'll tell you everything about it. You can get the soundtrack on Spotify. She learned. Very, very happy, Sarah. But the whole show was about Ben de la Creme, who loves Christmas and trying to capture the nostalgia of growing up and, holidays with families and how wonderful it is. And then it's Jinx Monsoon, who had a terrible upbringing experience, and Christmas was just another time to get hurt more. And they basically at the end came to the realization that they both were feeding these past memories and losing out on a lot of present day things because of it. And then they made their own holiday with their own chosen family and weren't trying to live up to some sort of expectation or ideal. A lot of other stuff happens that I'm not really going to discuss, but it's hilarious, really touching. Sarah did cry. I think I might have teared up. I'm pretty sure I did, but it's really good. It's really touching. And I think that that's something that I'm going to try to focus on a little bit more this year, is keeping the nostalgia and the things that make me feel good about the holidays without feeling like I have to live up to somebody's expectations. And that's going to be doable because I don't have to clean my house. I mean, we're going to clean the house. We already have, it's part of the bullshit bucket, getting things looking like humans live here. But it's not walking into a whole 2 weeks of anticipated judgment. Like, the 2 weeks before we have the party are really hard for me, and we'll see if it changes next year. I don't know, but I stress out so much about what other people are going to think about how my home is, and this is like my safe place. This is the only place in the world where I can feel comfortable, like actually comfortable, and I still don't even feel safe all the time. Don't be silly. I have anxiety, you silly goose. But it's very hard those 2 weeks because I'm expecting people to judge me pretty harshly, and so I do it all for you. So if anybody's coming over to my house, I really want you to know that I did all the hard work. I already think I'm terrible. So, save yourself the time. That costs a lot of energy. Trust me, I know. And I think that's sort of it's not a resolution, but I really need to think more on that. And not in a I don't care what you think, you idiots kind of way, because that's stupid. But more just how do I want things to be? How do I want them to feel? Does it really bother me if, the carpet isn't vacuumed, or is that because of what I think other people are going to think? That kind of thing. There's a lot more to it, obviously, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I guess I need to analyze the bucket and what's in the bucket and see if it's other people's stuff that's in my bucket or if it's my stuff that's in the bucket, because I barely have room for my stuff. I can't have other people's stuff in there too. There's too many things. Too many things. No, thank you. So, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at. And, again, dropping a little note on this. Holidays are hard for a lot of people, especially these ones where you can't really see a lot of the people that bring joy. So I think I've been spending a lot of time like making things for people or getting them local business stuff so that they can, I can help the economy a little bit. But I'm feeling very unconnected, very disconnected from a lot of people that I really love. I think a lot of people are feeling that. So I would highly encourage everybody, and I'm going to be doing it too, to try to reach out to anybody that you miss and just be like, miss you, Broseph. Mort does it to me all the time. I think he's like the only person I know that needs to tell everybody in the world that he misses how much he misses them all the time. But I think it's something we could all get better at. So that's, I guess, the things that I'm going to do. I'm going to look at my bucket. Everybody should look at their bucket. And your buckets are never going to look the same. Yours isn't going to look the same as, your partners or your kids or, your friends. They're all different. There's all different things like filling up the stresses of your life. Everybody's got different bullshit. You're going to have different buckets. And if you can think of ways that maybe you can help other people with their buckets, that's super cool too, because I don't know, helping people's nice or whatever. Just be cool. Tim spends a lot of time helping me with my bucket because my bucket overflows a lot more than his does. He's pretty easygoing for the most part. Not me. I'm not that person. Lucky guy. So in conclusion, I guess, I wasn't really, I don't know how to end this one. Take a look at your buckets. See if you can fix anything about them. If it doesn't help, if you don't feel better, look a little deeper. Make sure you actually see what's in the bucket, because it might be more than just, money stuff or relationship stress. It could be some deeper issues, and that's not a bad thing to look at. So, I don't know if I'm, again, going to do one anytime soon. We'll see. Maybe before Christmas. I don't know. I'll do it when it inspires me. So, but if I don't, I do hope that everybody has as nice of a holiday as 2020 is willing to give them. It could happen. Everybody's great.